Oh, good idea. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good evening or good afternoon, depending on the time zone you're joining from. Welcome. My cat says welcome. We'll give it a few minutes before we get started, but please feel free to use the chat to let us know where you're joining from today, what school you go to, what program you're in maybe, or what type of job you're looking for, just so we can kind of get a sense of who is in the audience.
And since our session is about LinkedIn, please feel free to drop the link to your profile as well. And hopefully you can gain some connections from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Start networking now. It's a LinkedIn workshop, so it's the
Mhm.
perfect excuse to connect with each other and get more LinkedIn connections. And you please feel free to connect with Tiffany and me as well. You can see both our names on the screen. Those are our names on LinkedIn. But we can post the links to our profiles as well. Awesome. Lilia posted her LinkedIn. Aspak posted, amazing, from Waterloo, Conestoga, welcome. And is there anything in particular you are hoping that we talk about tonight? Is there like a big challenge you're facing when it comes to LinkedIn? Is there anything you're struggling with? Let us know so we make sure that we can address it. Hello. All right, we'll give it like one more minute and then we will get started. Hello. Hi, Reina. Nice to meet you. Amazing. I love all the LinkedIn
I
profiles
was
in
just gonna say,
chat.
that's amazing.
Fantastic. Mhm.
I guess we can maybe switch to the next slide, and if
Yeah,
anyone
go
feels
ahead and
like
get
they want
started.
to, yeah, if anyone wants to share anything that they've noticed in terms of LinkedIn, any issues that they're facing, or maybe you don't know yet, that's okay too. So just give me one quick second. I moved slides. Okay, so let's go ahead um, with a very quick intro. I can go ahead and hand it over to Keelan first.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. My name is Keelan. I am a career coach and student advisor. I've been in the career coaching industry since 2019. During the day, I work as a student advisor for Fleming College. So I interact with students on a daily basis. And in the evenings and over my lunch break, I am a career coach. So I meet one on one with job seekers and help them in their job searches. And I would say my niche area is actually in tech. So I have a lot of experience helping like people find jobs in web development, data analytics. AI is a new, fun, exciting one that's really big right now. And Tiffany and I actually went to school together, so we know each other from the Career Development Practitioner program at George Brown. And with that, I will pass it over to Tiffany.
Thank you. Yes, we are peers, we are colleagues for many years now. So thank you so much for all of you who are able to join this Wednesday evening. And those of you who shared where you're located, your links to your profile, that's the type of engagement that we're looking for. So we really appreciate it. So as you see on the screen there, my name is Tiffany. I have been with Devant for, I would say maybe a year and a half to 2 years so far. Um, my full-time role, I work at Empower Canada, so it's a bit of a tech startup, and I've been there for 3 years so far. So a lot of the work that I do is very similar to Keelan, where I'm meeting with clients, supporting with resume, interview support. Even if it's not about resumes and interviews, just having those check-ins and conversations with each other about where the frustrations might be, any roadblocks that you're facing. As we know, job searching is not as easy as it used to be. So it's really helpful to have the type of support. Um, from a career coach or an employment counselor. I have been doing this type of work for quite a few years now. It's definitely something that I am passionate about, and I hope that you take something away this evening. So let's go ahead and share a little bit of background on Devant. So we have supported over 55,000 international students and newcomers with getting hired in Canada so far. So we offer free, actionable advice from career coaches and industry experts. We will be sharing the link for any upcoming events as well. So please make sure that you are regularly checking the website for this as well. We offer the latest AI driven tools. So, if it's regarding your resume, interview skills, labor market knowledge, I remember when I first learned and found out about Devant, I got a little bit of behind the scenes when it comes to some of the tools that they use. And this was one of the first organizations where I saw AI being implemented within their services in a correct, useful manner. And then lastly, introductions to partners and employers to support whether it's immigration, academic life, and career development. So, a few house rules. Of course, everyone is muted right now. So, if you do have any questions, you are more than welcome to let us know that you want to be unmuted or raise your hand, and we can do that. No need to use your video. So, if you're someone who prefers to have your camera off and kind of listen in on the background there, please feel free. If you joined us right at the start, you would have heard that the session is being recorded and it will be shared with you afterwards as well. I see that our chat is very popular, but if you have any questions, whether it be about LinkedIn, whether it be about you're looking for a co-op, you keep getting rejections for your resumes, please put your questions in the Q&A. It will make sure that we have a list that we can go through for questions and we can see which ones have been answered and which ones we haven't gotten to yet. The chat sometimes can get really busy and we want to answer all of your questions if we have enough time. And again, at the end there, future events, please make sure that you keep an eye out as well. So, our agenda for this Wednesday evening, first, we will be covering how exactly employers use LinkedIn. What exactly are the components of a LinkedIn profile? Making connections. Then we will hand it over to Keelan, who will be going over a live LinkedIn review. And then, of course, at the end, we will have time for Q&A. So any questions that you have, anything that you think of as we're, sharing and going through the content, please feel free to input your questions in the Q&A. So please feel free to use the chat for this question. How do you think LinkedIn can help your job search and career? So if you're someone, I know a lot of people sometimes have a profile, but they don't use it. Some people don't enjoy posting on there or being active. But for those of you who have used LinkedIn or looking to use LinkedIn, how do you think that this can be beneficial for you, especially now where um, the volume of applications are being increased, the use of ATS, which is applicant tracking systems, are being increased. How can LinkedIn be beneficial for you in your job search? Perfect. Building connections and networking. I think if this was like Family Feud, that would be like the number one answer. I think that definitely is the main. Yes, job opportunities are on there as well. Yeah, perfect job postings. But honestly, for me, I am a huge advocate for LinkedIn, for all of my clients, for anyone who's job seeking. Even if you're not looking for a job, it's still good to have an active profile. So building connections, networking, job postings. Yep, unfortunately, there are fake jobs on LinkedIn as well. So if you have any questions about job scams and what to possibly look out for, we can also chat about that a little bit later on. Yeah, helpful for networking, expanding connections, which is exactly what we saw earlier here today for those of you who were sharing your LinkedIn URLs in the chat. Reach out to the hiring manager, increases the chance of getting the job. Absolutely. That is a really good response, and that's what I'm really going to advocate for this evening as well. Perfect. Thank you for those of you who shared in the chat. So we will be going over kind of from the employer's perspective as to how they use LinkedIn. So they use LinkedIn as a professional database to source candidates to fill a vacant position. Second, they also use it to learn more about you if you're considering interviewing or sending you an offer. So, a lot of you who are job searching and who have an active LinkedIn profile, you may choose to include this in your resume as well. Right at the top, at the header there, where you have your name, city, phone number, email, you can also provide your LinkedIn URL as well. And that way they can have a look. So, sometimes I know with resumes, you may not choose to include your entire work history, all of your experiences that you have. If an employer chooses to go to your profile, they will be able to see all of that information. A lot of people also, when you change your status to open to work, and if you have a very strong headline on LinkedIn, you may also be contacted by recruiters as well. And I've had that happen with clients where they update this information and then they start getting a lot of hits. A lot of recruiters are now reaching out to them to see if they would be open to the possibility of an interview or working for a different employer. So recruiters source candidates by searching for industry keywords. So I very briefly touched on the headline. Um, so that is when you go to your profile, you have your name, but then right underneath you have an option. It usually, if you're employed, it will just say sales associate at Staples, but I always recommend updating that headline there for job titles that you're interested in, any keywords. For example, if you're within the world of data, you might want to put SQL, Python, Power BI, whatever the case may be, to bring some traction to your profile. So we have skills, job titles, and locations. Industry keywords are the foundation of your profile and increase your chances of showing up on more search results. So, the more keywords, the more relevant words that you have in there, the higher your chances are of hearing something back from an employer or having a recruiter touch base with you. So, very quick tip, find industry keywords by searching through job postings. So, one thing I would recommend doing is if, some people who are present today may already be employed, but not within their preferred field or not within the field that they completed their education in. Sometimes it's hard to job search. You may not have the time to go on and search every day, tailor every day, and fill out the same applications over and over and over again. One thing that I find to be really helpful is instead of signing up for job title alerts, sign up for keyword alerts. A lot of employers um, like to come up with different job titles for basically the same types of role. Customer service rep, technical support rep, data analyst. Those could be called a million different things, but if you take a look at the responsibilities, if you take a look at the requirements, you'll find that they may have a lot in common, especially if there's a specific software or tool that you're familiar with, or you feel like you're more confident and strong in that specific area. Please sign up for those keywords. And that way, you're not missing out, right? We want to make sure all these doors are open. If we're not signing up for keyword alerts, we're closing all these doors, and we may not even see this when we're conducting our searches. So I am going to go over and hand it over to my colleague, Keelan. Again, please make sure that you are using the Q&A for any questions that you have, anything job search related, LinkedIn, resume, or interview, um, because we do want to make sure that you have all of your questions answered by the end of this hour. Whenever you're ready,
Yay.
Keelan.
Thank you, Tiffany. We do have two really great questions in the Q&A. I'm going to hold off on them for now just because I really want to make sure I have time to hop over to LinkedIn and just kind of go through the components. But please keep popping your questions in the question and answer. They don't have to be about LinkedIn. I know that's kind of what we're talking about right now, but they don't necessarily have to be about LinkedIn. It could be about anything related to job searching. And we've got a good mix in the Q&A right now. We've got some that are LinkedIn related, some that are just general job search. So I am going to share my screen and hop over to my LinkedIn profile actually, and kind of use it as an example as we go through just the components of a LinkedIn profile really quickly. Because one of the biggest mistakes that that we see people making on LinkedIn is they have a LinkedIn profile, but they don't make the most out of their profile. Maybe they don't have a clear profile picture. Maybe they don't have a banner. Maybe they aren't utilizing the about section or they aren't filling out their experience section. And a lot of the times when you are using LinkedIn for networking and connecting with people, having a strong profile really makes all the difference. If you send somebody a message and they go to your profile and you don't have a profile picture, there's nothing about you, they might assume that you're a bot. Like they might just think you're not a real account, that you're a fake account on LinkedIn, or they might just not feel comfortable messaging you back because they do not know who you are. So let's go through the profile section really quickly. The first thing, one of the very first things you should do when you create a new LinkedIn profile is update your profile picture. This is one of the most crucial components. It's typically the very first thing that somebody sees when they come to your page. And stats have shown that just having a picture makes your profile up to 20 times more likely to actually be clicked on. So having a good photo can increase those odds even more. But accounts that don't have a profile are just very likely not going to get clicked on because, like we were saying, people will assume that it's like a bot account or they don't know who you are, so they're not going to go to your profile. So profile picture is huge. And we want to make sure that it is like a clear, recent, high resolution photo. It should be kind of like shoulders up, like kind of when you're getting a passport photo taken or a driver's license photo taken, kind of that same, shoulders up. We don't want it to be like a full body photo because as you can see, it doesn't have a lot of real estate on your profile. It's quite small. Um, and you should be the only person in the photo. So you don't want to have a photo with like a big group of people or with somebody else because how is the person going to know which one is you? And when it comes to facial expressions, I usually say that you should choose the right facial expression for how you want to be perceived. So, my photo, I have a nice big smile because I like to be perceived as somebody that is friendly and approachable, and I want people to feel comfortable reaching out to me. And I think having a smile is kind of the best way to do that. But if you are in a more serious profession, like maybe you're a lawyer or something like that, or like an accountant, you might want to have a more serious expression on your LinkedIn. Or maybe you're just not a very like smiley, outgoing person. That is okay. We want your LinkedIn to reflect who you are. So you might see people say like, oh, make sure you're smiling in your LinkedIn photo. If that doesn't feel like you, if that doesn't feel right for you, you don't have to put on like a fake smile. Your photo should kind of portray how you want to be seen professionally. Same thing for attire. Like wear attire that you think is applicable for your field. So like you might not want to wear like a full suit and tie if you're in tech, maybe, because people will probably see that as being a little bit too overdressed. Um, so just little things like that can really make a difference in your profile photo. And I try to keep mine up to date. So I try to change mine every I try to change it every year. Sometimes it's every couple years because it does take some energy to get like a nice headshot. But we just want to make sure that it looks like you. So if your appearance isn't changing a whole lot, you don't have to change it very frequently. Another thing is the banner image. So that is this up here. Mine is pretty funky. Another huge mistake that people make is not changing the default banner image. Again, one of the very first things that people see when they come to your profile, and it takes up quite a bit of space on your page. So when it comes to your banner, we just want to think about like your personal brand, your industry, again, how you want to be perceived. This can add a lot of personality into your LinkedIn. So some people will have like an office desk, maybe like a laptop, stationery. Some people will use the city that they're from, so they might have like the Toronto skyline or something. You could choose something related to your fields of work. So, for example, mine says resume because I'm a career coach, and resumes are actually my favorite part of the job. I love helping people with resumes, so I've put that as my banner. I'm gonna hop over to Tiffany's quickly because I know that hers is one that another way that you can do it. So she has hers like branded with her name, her certifications, her emails right there, so it's super easy to contact her. And I think, Tiffany, did you just make this in Canva?
Yes, and I actually just
Yes.
put the link to Canva in the chat as well.
Amazing. Perfect. Yes, this is another route that you can go. I've made mine on Canva too. But yeah, lots of different ways you can do a banner. Again, don't be afraid to let your personality come through. I know that LinkedIn is professional and it's for job searching, but it's still social media. So you can show a little bit of personality throughout your LinkedIn profile, and the banner is a really great way to do that. Next thing is the headline. So Tiffany mentioned the importance of a headline on your LinkedIn. So when we're talking about a headline, that's this text right below your name. So it's short, basically describes who you are, and it should make people want to learn more about you. And as Tiffany was saying, this plays a huge role in LinkedIn's search algorithm. So when people are trying to find career coaches, I'm hopefully going to come up because I have career coach in my headline. People are looking for somebody to help with resumes. Hopefully, I'm going to come up because resume is here. So there's different ways to do this, but I usually like to do like a job title and then maybe some skills or like a passion or something like that. So it could be like marketing manager at ABC company, and then you could list some skills. So it could be like digital marketing, search engine optimization, content strategy. So something like that, just so people know a little bit about who you are. And again, this really helps with that search algorithm. So what you have in your headline really helps you show up on the search page. And another reason why it is so important, I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. You can see that on the side here, when I'm scrolling through LinkedIn, all I see about people before I click on their profile is their profile photo, their name, and their headline. So right off the bat, before even clicking on this person's profile, I know that they are a career services coordinator at Centennial College. Excuse me. I'm going to open up some more. Um, Again, you can kind of see the different ways that you can approach a headline here. So we can see that Sean has listed a bunch of skills. Same with Lydia. She's saying that she's a career consultant that specializes in career transition, branding and resume optimization, LinkedIn strategy. Sometimes people will put accomplishments. So, for example, Veronica has supported 400 plus people with resumes, mock interviews, and job search strategies. So, there's different ways that you can write your headline. We just want to make sure that you have something in your headline, that it's not just the generic like job title at company or student at school. It should make people want to learn more about you. So, for example, maybe I'm really interested. How did Veronica have support so many people with resumes? I want to click her profile and learn more about her. So that is the headline. Super, super important that you're customizing it a little bit. All right, and a couple more things that I want to cover before we dive into some questions. The next one is the about section. So one thing that I want to point out is can actually just see the first 3 lines of the about section before you click see more and have to expand it. So I usually tell people to really make the most out of these top 3 lines to entice people to want to read more. So if this like little about preview is not super exciting, people probably aren't going to click the see more to learn more about you. So make the most out of these top 3 lines. And again, there's no real like right or wrong way to write your about section. It should really just be like a summary of your background, your achievements, maybe your goal if you're still a student and you're still looking for a job in the field. But the keywords that you use in here, again, can really help with your ability to show up in LinkedIn searches. And usually like 300 to 500 words is a good ballpark for your LinkedIn about section. We don't want it to be too long, but we also want to make the most out of it because it's kind of where you can put the most amount of text in your profile. The way that I've gone about it is I have a couple paragraphs and then I just do bullets. So, like some of my skills, interests, expertise include all of these things, basically saying these are all the things I can help you with. And this is also really great for keywords and search results. So, if somebody searches salary negotiation, I might come up because I have that in my about section. If someone Googles or searches group facilitation, I'm hoping I will show up because it's in my about section. So this is a great way to kind of plug in keywords as well. Okay. And then one more thing I want to point out is the experience section. Another huge thing that people miss on LinkedIn is leaving this blank. So they might just put like the company and the position. Really, really important that you fill out these bullet points. It's okay if you just copy and paste from your resume to start off with. Eventually, I would recommend kind of making a few changes here or there so it's not just the exact same thing. But think of LinkedIn as an extension of your resume. So leaving this blank is really does you a disservice because you're not taking advantage of being able to tell people more about you and what you've accomplished. But also, just like we're saying, keywords in the search algorithm, anything in your experience section is going to help with that as well. Um, Education, same thing. Make sure you're putting like a few bullet points about what you learned in your program, especially if you're a new graduate. This is going to be huge. And another thing that you can take advantage of is the new feature for adding a career break. So if you're making a career transition, or maybe you went back to school, or you moved to a new country, you can actually add a career break in your experience section for anything like a career transition, parenting, taking a gap year, even getting laid off. These are things that you can put in your experience section just to kind of tell a little bit more of a story. Or maybe you haven't had a job in a few years and you want to kind of explain that gap in your resume. A career break is a great way to do that. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for now. I'm going to hop over to the Q&A. Tiffany, looks like we have some questions.
Yes.
Perfect.
Can go ahead and get started. The first question that we have here is how can I find co-op and IT help desk or network? So a lot of the common questions that we get asked are regarding co-ops and how to secure something within the field that you're currently studying for. Usually, if you are enrolled within post-secondary, there's like a program liaison or a practicum coordinator. That would be my first suggestion is to reach out to them. Usually, they have many connections that the school has already established over the years who are looking to take on and accept students. If that's not the case, or if you find what's available is maybe not within your area, and you do have to secure your own practicum independently. LinkedIn is the first place to start with that. So I would do some research first, think about what organizations, what companies are you even interested in working with at first. When it comes to IT, when it comes to help desk, every organization has a tech department. Doesn't matter where. So that does kind of give you some more opportunity. Really narrow down your list. When it comes to LinkedIn, you can search by company, you can search for people who have graduated from the program that you've already completed as well, and see if you can reach out to those individuals for an informational interview, for a coffee chat. Again, LinkedIn is an additional step to your job search, and you maybe felt like you already spent enough time tailoring your resume, so why do you have to do this too? But if you find what you've been doing so far is not working, then I would recommend testing this out a little bit. So LinkedIn, tailoring your resume, keep a job tracker as well. Postings go down, postings disappear. You may get a call 2 weeks, 3 weeks after the posting has been removed from the website, and you may not even remember what it was that you applied for. You may not even remember the organization, the title that the role was. So make sure, you can even have a running Google Doc and just kind of paste everything in there, but do keep yourself organized when you're job searching as well. Um, Another question that we have is what is the best way to approach someone on LinkedIn for a job referral? That is a really good question. Um, we definitely don't want to start off with just, hey, here's my resume. I'm interested in this. We do want to break the ice. We do want to give them an opportunity to talk about themselves a little bit too. I find that's kind of the best way. What do you enjoy about working here? I see that you took this certification. Did you find it beneficial in this? So, just really ensuring that you're spending some time with small talk and not just jumping in to your request right away. I will share just because I received this last night actually. Someone sent me a message on LinkedIn and it said, "Hi, can you send me the Word format for ATS resume?" And then they followed up and they said, "I need you to check my resume. If it's ATS friendly, can you do that?" So that is not what we want to do. No one needs to do anything for you on LinkedIn. They're going to choose to do so because you're approachable, you're friendly as well. So please be mindful of that. If you need to use ChatGPT, if you need to use AI to come up with something that is grammatically correct, um, easy to understand and mostly professional, please feel free to do so. But yeah, never come across as I need you to do this for me, because I'm not getting back to that person after that. um, Next is what should I include in my LinkedIn that's different from my resume? So with resumes, we do encourage a maximum of 2 pages. We really don't want to go past that mark. So I would honestly encourage you to include whatever it is that did not make it to your resume on your LinkedIn profile. If you find you're kind of aiming for two different types of roles, maybe you have something that is a resume dedicated to data analysts, but you're also open to retail and customer service, you might have two different resumes then. So with your LinkedIn profile, I would try to sprinkle in a little bit of each of those types of responsibilities to mix it up a little bit. Um, and then next is I'm updating my LinkedIn profile as much as I can, but it's still not perfect. Any suggestions? Honestly, I don't think there's no such thing as a perfect LinkedIn profile. There's no such thing as a perfect resume. There's always going to be tweaks that can be made. There's always going to be changes that are going to be done. That's the whole point of tailoring, right? There's no one size fits all. So, sometimes it's nice to give your LinkedIn profile a little refresh. Maybe you want to post a new picture, you want to update your headline and your banner, ever so often, but yeah, definitely if you are someone who is tailoring your LinkedIn profile, I've had a few participants ask me if they need to tailor their LinkedIn profiles. No way. That's just way too much. It already takes up so much time to finalize a resume that is ATS friendly. So just make sure the main fields are filled in. The banner, the headline, your profile picture, a summary. If you worked at Sobeys, if you worked at Rogers, making sure that you link that company to the company page as well. So that is what I would suggest for that. Next, is it really necessary to constantly post about everything that's happening? Some people share every publication, idea, event. Not necessarily. So it's LinkedIn is not even just about posting content. It's also about liking. It's also about commenting. So they didn't have this before where you have your regular notifications, but then there's also like a little sub notification area called catch up. And it tells you when it's someone's birthday. It tells you when someone decided to return to school. It tells you when someone started a new job. So instead of you kind of going and trying to dig and find this information, it's all there for you. So even if you just want to like a post ever so often, even if you just want to comment and say congratulations, or message the person independently, like just through their chat, that works as well. So again, you don't have to post every single thing. Just making sure that you're interacting ever so often, especially if this person can benefit you somehow in the long run. Just make sure you're not reaching out when you need something only. Next we have I was wondering why I received job rejections for a job that I have years of experience for. So that is definitely common, and I'm sorry that you're going through that. It's definitely not fun. It can be a bit discouraging as well, especially since you're qualified for the role. So one thing that I believe in another workshop that we talked about where I learned what a difference this can make is something called knockout questions. So in the beginning of applications, right before you send it off, you might be asked some questions. Do you have this specific certification? Are you eligible to work in Canada? What does your availability look like? And sometimes based off of those answers, you will be immediately screened out. Um, so just be mindful of the questions that you're answering and what your responses are. Because if you receive a rejection the day after, or sometimes even the day of, it may just be that we didn't feed the right answers in to whether it be LinkedIn or Indeed, whichever website you're using to apply. Um, and then another thing I would say as well is just make sure that you are tailoring. You can be the most qualified person for the role, but if we are not feeding this applicant tracking system, this software that you have all these keywords in your resume, then unfortunately we won't make it past to even receive a phone call. So that's kind of the game that's being played nowadays, is what I notice. So if you have any more questions regarding ATS and resume tailoring, please feel free to type it in the chat. Next is I have my co-op placement in a month. How can I find one for business analyst or data analyst on LinkedIn? So I'm assuming you don't have one and you start within a month. Um, Even if you just kind of type in analyst co-op. Um, there may not be an official posting for it, but you can see what other people have posted for that type of role. So sometimes on LinkedIn, roles are available on there, but not necessarily on the company website. So just make sure you're really thorough, you're really conducting your searches like in depth, and then also following up with whoever posted that. But before you do that, make sure your profile is up to date. We want to make sure everything is golden before we start reaching out to people on LinkedIn. Because if someone messages me, I'm going to take a look at their profile. And if I see that it's incomplete, it's like, why did you reach out? Like, there's nothing that you're giving me for me to be able to learn what you are capable of, right? So it's LinkedIn is kind of like another form of your resume. So just make sure when you do start reaching out to people that you fill in and you've done as much as you can on there. I'm not sure if we want to continue, Keelan, or
Yeah,
if you
I'm
still have some more
okay.
questions, but
I
I need a
know
water
the
break.
Q&A is really popular tonight. I love
Yeah.
it. But yeah, I'm okay to pick up. Let me see. I wanna maybe answer some of the ones that are specific to
Okay, yes.
LinkedIn
Mhm.
first. So Irina is asking, she's great advice about keywords, how to become more visible on LinkedIn. I noticed that adding hashtags to my posts helps. Yes, absolutely. Hashtags to your posts can help a lot. And honestly, just building your network and connecting with people is a great way to become more visible on LinkedIn because the more people who are in your network, who you're connected to, the more people who are going to see when you post. And that way you're not relying so much on hashtags and things like that. But hashtags are definitely great for expanding your post views. So if you're posting and you include hashtags, that post will likely be seen by people outside of your network who are searching for those hashtags. Another great way to get your just your profile noticed is like Tiffany was saying, commenting on other people's posts. Honestly, I very, very rarely post myself on LinkedIn. I do occasionally, but most of the time I'm commenting on other people's posts or I'm resharing other people's posts. Um, and that LinkedIn's recently launched a new feature because I noticed that last week I commented on one of my former coworkers' posts. And a few days later, I got a notification saying, like, 200 people have seen your comment on so and so's post. So just by commenting on one post, 200 people saw my comment. And then, like we were saying before, when you're looking at somebody on LinkedIn and they comment on something, you can see their profile picture and their headline. So if you have a really enticing headline and you're commenting on a lot of posts, you're probably going to get quite a few profile views off of that. So maybe from like the 200 people that saw my comment, if even like 10 of them decided that they wanted to click on my profile, that's a pretty good it's a pretty good result for just like a simple comment on someone else's post. So you don't feel like you have to be posting every single day. Like you can comment on other people's posts, you can share other people's posts. Um, Things like that really help for getting noticed on LinkedIn as well. And I find that once you build your network to like 500 plus connections, any post that you make is gonna get quite a few views just because when your connections comment on it, it's going to show up in other people's feeds and things like that. Okay. Someone's asking for some other job search websites like LinkedIn. So LinkedIn and Indeed are definitely the two big ones in Canada for job searching. Both are good. It depends on the industry, it depends on the area that you live in. But LinkedIn is always my go-to. It's definitely where you're going to find the most amount of jobs, but we also have to remember it's where you're going to find the most amount of competition because it's so popular, because it's the job board that everyone uses. So Indeed is another very popular one. Monster is another one. Eluda. We can put these in the chat as well. Charity Village is one of my favorites. Charity Village is for specifically nonprofit organizations. But there's also kind of niche job boards for specific industries. So, like Hire HR, for example, is a smaller job board that only posts HR positions. There's a lot of only tech position job boards. So always use LinkedIn, always use Indeed. They're the most popular ones, but it's always worth it to use some of these smaller job boards as well, because sometimes you can find positions that are posted on smaller job boards that aren't being posted on big job boards, and then there's going to be less competition just because fewer people have seen it. Also, company websites are fantastic as well. So if you have a few companies that you really want to work for, keep an eye on their website career pages, because some companies will only post on their company website. They won't post on third-party job boards. They'll only post on their own website when they're hiring. So keep an eye on specific companies as well. All right. Someone's asking, how can I post my work from 8 or 10 years ago on LinkedIn? Yeah, so I'm going to share my screen quickly and go back over to LinkedIn just so I can demonstrate how you can do this. But basically, when you add experience, LinkedIn automatically puts it in chronological order for you. So you can just quickly click the plus sign, add a position, and then you put in the start dates and the end dates, and then LinkedIn will automatically order that experience for you based on chronological order. This is one of the things that Tiffany was saying that sometimes LinkedIn can be great for if you don't have room on your resume from roles that were like 10 years ago, because you don't want your resume to be like 5 pages long. That's what LinkedIn's for including those roles from 5, 10 years ago that might not necessarily be in your resume, but we want to put them somewhere so people know that they exist and that they happened. So the way you add an experience on LinkedIn is super easy. You just go to the experience section, you click that plus sign, and then you click add position. And then when you add in the dates, it will automatically put it in the right order for you. Great. Is there any other LinkedIn ones that I'm missing? Oh, someone says, will my LinkedIn profile make a difference when I apply for a job? Will a recruiter always check my LinkedIn profile? Not necessarily. It depends on the recruiter. It depends on the hiring manager. Some recruiters love LinkedIn and they're going to search for candidates on LinkedIn. Some of them are a little bit more old school, or maybe they just don't have the time to look up people on LinkedIn. This is always why I encourage people to include their LinkedIn URL on their resume. So it's super easy for a recruiter to just click the link and it pulls up your LinkedIn. Recruiters are busy people. They're not going to go on LinkedIn and search your name and try to make sure you're the correct person and match your resume. They're not going to do that. They don't have the time to do that. So including your LinkedIn URL in your resume is a great way to make sure it gets seen. And we never know if a recruiter is going to look at your LinkedIn or not. But it's always great to have just as that like additional layer. I always like to look people up on LinkedIn because I find that you can just learn a lot about a person from their LinkedIn, you can learn about their experience, and you can learn like about their personality a little bit as well because, like I said, don't be afraid to let your personality come through. So we should always assume that your LinkedIn is going to get looked at, but we never know for sure if it is going to get looked at. Unless, of course, you have LinkedIn Premium, in which case you can see when people have viewed it. But yeah, I would always assume that your LinkedIn is going to get looked at, but we can never really be sure.
I can go ahead and take it over for the
Yeah,
next few
perfect.
slides. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. So with all of this LinkedIn talk, I would love to know, um, who do you believe you should be connecting with on LinkedIn? Who should we be reaching out to on there? Or try to reach out to. I know sometimes we send the connection invites and they don't always get accepted, but who do we think we should be touching base with?
Brendan is saying recruiters. Yes.
Absolutely.
Anyone else?
Hiring manager, that's another really good one. Yep, college, potential employers, absolutely. Yeah, professionals, people we met or know in real life, colleagues. Yeah, I don't even know if I need to go over the next slide anymore. I feel like you all answered. Amazing. Same people are within the same field. So let's go over to this slide. Okay, perfect. So yeah, a majority of these were already said. Professors and other support staff from your school and the program that you're enrolled in, past coworkers, classmates, alumni, friends and family, um, and even those of you who are present this evening. So again, I'm going to put in another plug. If you feel like you want to put your LinkedIn URL in the chat again to connect with each other, please feel free to do so right now, because if you did before, it might have gotten lost in the chat. So again, if you do want to connect with others and chat about your job search, maybe you met someone who is interested in work within the same field, this is the time to take advantage. But yeah, thank you for those of you who answered. This slide was no longer needed. Um, so rule number one when messaging a new connection, please create a custom message. Avoid copy and paste. I've also had a few copy and paste as well, where you can literally see the prompt from ChatGPT still. So just if you are going to rely on AI, to support with grammar and polishing it up, just make sure you don't leave the prompt in there as well. And I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go back to the Q&A, but I'm just gonna wrap it up with these slides here really quickly. We have about 9 minutes before we finish. So I will put in the chat again about our upcoming events next week, which is well, I think it's for the week after. July 22nd, or I believe it's supposed to say the 23rd, is the immigration Q&A. And then Wednesday, July 30th, there's another event, which is Ask a Recruiter. So I'm just going to go back to the Q&A, and I'll stop sharing for now.
Perfect. I'm just putting in the chat, I'm putting
Mhm.
just some templates of like LinkedIn
Perfect.
messages that you can use. Um,
Amazing. Okay, let me take a look here at our Q&A. We may not be able to get to all of them, but let's see here. So how to look for entry level or internship jobs. Hopefully with everything we shared this evening, you got a few ideas as to how exactly to go about navigating the search for these types of roles, especially an internship. So again, my first suggestion would be go back to your school, reach out to the program coordinator or the practicum coordinator. They should be able to guide you, but also ensure that you are active on LinkedIn and looking around there as well. As a developmental service worker, can I work in a daycare? If yes, how do I navigate my resume to fit? So I know if it's ECE, sometimes they do look for you to be registered. I would really take a look at analyzing the job description for an ECE as well as a DSW. Do they have anything in common? Sometimes with an ECE posting, you may see that they're willing to accept people who come from different educational backgrounds as well. So if that's a possibility, please go ahead. I would really try to focus on your transferable skills. I'm sure there's a lot that you do as a DSW that can also work within an ECE setting. So even just talking to parents, you're talking to clients, you're talking to patients, even something as simple as that can be relayed in your resume. Next is, can an ATS tell if a resume is AI enhanced? And if it can, does that automatically get the application rejected? So that's a really good question. I'm going to go ahead and say maybe no, Or maybe yes. Maybe it depends on the software that's being used. There's tons of different ATS softwares out there that can, some are maybe a little bit more advanced and they can identify and detect AI, whereas some may not be able to. The biggest thing I would say, again, I even use AI for my resume, for my clients' resumes. Just make sure when you are copying, when you're pasting, you try to match the style and format. It's very easy to spot when there's like that shadow in the text. It's a different font, it's a different size. Remove the prompt that's being used. Sometimes periods at the end of those responsibilities and points, please make sure those are removed as well.
There's
Uh,
one that I
mhm.
want to answer quickly,
Yeah,
if
go
that's
ahead. Go ahead.
okay. It's on the message or on the topic of
Mhm,
the connection request that we were talking about. So
mhm,
someone is asking, is it impolite to send somebody a LinkedIn connection request without adding a short greeting or personalized note? So I wouldn't say that it's impolite, because it happens all the time on LinkedIn. It's
mhm,
pretty common for that to happen. The downfalls of not adding a note is that one, they might just not accept your connection request, especially if it's somebody that you don't know. So oftentimes, like if I'm connecting with a coworker or I'm connecting with somebody that I know in real life, most of the time I don't add a note because I know who this person is, they know who I am. But if I am connecting with somebody who I don't know, I will often just add a little note about why I'm interested in connecting with them. So, hey, I noticed we're in the same industry, or I noticed that we both went to the same school, or I noticed that you have the same job title as me, but at a different organization. So just like a little quick note about who I am, why I'm connecting, how I came across their profile. And another reason why I really like to add a note is it gets the conversation going. So I have something like 2,000 plus connections on LinkedIn. I have not talked to the majority of those people. I don't know who they are. But if somebody connects with me with a little message, as soon as I accept it, it will actually like start a little chat thread with that person. It will pop up and I will reply to that and it gets the conversation going. So if you add in a little message, it starts the conversation, then you can actually start talking to that person. And then it's a meaningful LinkedIn connection request instead of just somebody that is on your LinkedIn connection list and you don't know anything about them and you don't know who they are and you've never spoken to them. So again, I wouldn't say that it's impolite. I would just say that there's advantages of adding a note. It gets the conversation going and you're more likely to have your request accepted.
Thanks, Keelan. I saw another really good question here. And this is about PDF or versus Word when it comes to applying for jobs. So I would always, always, always encourage you to use PDF. Sometimes even just the emails that I receive with resumes, it may look amazing and perfectly aligned on your laptop or your computer. But as soon as you send it over, as soon as you save it, everything gets misaligned. The bullet points are all over the place, the words are all over the place, the months and years are scattered throughout. So, just to kind of keep everything in its spot, keep it locked in place, please make sure when you are submitting resumes online, whether that be through email or you're uploading it to a portal, that it is within a PDF format. They are ATS friendly as well. So you're gonna be good to go. Just make sure too, when you do save it as a PDF and before you send it off, just take a look at it before you drag it over and submit.
All right, it is 7:58, so it is almost time to wrap up. Thank you so much, everybody. It went by super quick. I'm so sorry if we didn't get a chance to answer your question. But I've put in the description, somebody actually asked if we offer one-on-one sessions. The answer is yes, we do. You can connect with us on LinkedIn and send us a message, or there's actually just a link right on the Devant page where you can book directly through a calendar invites. So it'll have our availability as well as the ability to just book a session right away. Please feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn. I can see my connection requests coming in, so a lot of you are already starting to connect,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. And yes, the recording will be shared with everybody. So the recording is downloaded and uploaded to the Devant YouTube channel. And then as soon as that's uploaded, you will all get an email with the link to the recording, as well as all of the other past Devant workshops are all on the YouTube channel. So you can go back and see. All right. It
Amazing.
was lovely chatting with all of you this evening, and we hope to see you in another workshop soon or over on LinkedIn.
Yes. And good luck with your job search, everyone. Wishing you
Yes.
all the best.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.